Have you got what it takes to compete in BashBots? If you can prove it, you can find yourself inside the BashBox with the game's most legendary combat robots. Here's what you need to do. Join the Discord and read the rules. Design an epic robot that kicks butt. Looks great and is completely original. We can even help you get started. Join the link in the description and join the growing community of the video game world's greatest robot combat game. You could be the next champion. Or not. Either way, it's gonna be fun.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the BashBots Championship Tournament. I am your host, Dominus Ignis, and with me is the Damn Beaver. Last episode, 4 teams moved on to the quarterfinals, and tonight the final 4 teams will cement their spots in the next round. They're all competing for the greatest glory in the virtual robot combat world, the chance to raise the giant wrench.
We've seen already that experience can be more than seeding, as Tranquilizer took down Huge in the last round, but we could be seeing more of that this time around. Particularly in Cosmo vs Wishbone, Business Cash is a seasoned veteran, so his experience could be the key to taking down the number 3 seed. We'll also be seeing the Season 1 champion Sparks take on Catch. The last time these robots fought was in Season 1 and Sparks came out victorious.
Above that, Gumdrops and Panther will battle it out. Both builders are in their 3rd season. Keo has finally found success with his robot Panther, and Evil Toaster seems to have struck gold with her horizontal spinner Gumdrops. But first up tonight, it's a rematch years in the making between Polis and Tenderlove. So let's get right into it.
These two have fought twice over BashBots history, and there's only been one winner both times. And I'm sorry to say that once again I am backing Polis to win this. It's had a squeaky clean record this year, going 4-0 with relative ease, finally upsetting a rival in Sparks. And while it does mean there's a precedent set for upsets here, maybe that can imply that Tenderlove can put it off. Looking at previous fights, it seems that the gap's only getting wider between them.
Tenderlove, the number 15 seed, but a robot that's always done exceptionally well. They did have a bit of a rocky start here with a 2-2 record, losing to Panther and Catch, but the new design seems to work much better than all the previous designs, and we've seen what Tenderlove can do. And after the past 2 times where these robots have fought, you've got to imagine that Tenderlove is going to have a much better game plan for this 3rd battle. This is going to be an amazing opener, so we're not going to waste any more of your time. Let's head on down to the arena for this opening match.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? It's robot fighting time. Let's bring out the bots. In the red square, from the United Kingdom, it looks like a Donkey Kong level. It's Tenderlove. In the blue square, from Ireland, starting to get tired of having to roundly trounce Tenderlove over and over again, it's Polis!
Third fight in a row, time to make it 3rd loss in a row, why not?
Fighting Tenderlove is always difficult because you might get under the chassis but not the forks, or the other way around, so the plan is just to charge at him, hopefully get under something and flip him if we do.
Well, if you're Tenderlove, what would you rather be? Be the 15th seed and get a 3rd fight with Polis? Or would you rather go down to the 16th seed and fight Mars again? No real favourable matchups for it.
Wow, it's not been as cool and composed a Tenderlove machine as in seasons past for it this time around, but Polis will not care about that. It knows that Tenderlove is a highly respected machine and always has the potential for an upset, and in the opening period here it has started pretty strongly.
Yes, it's easy to remember their Season 3 matchup where overall Tenderlove didn't put up the best performance against Polis, but go back to that Season 1 campaign and Tenderlove was really quite unfortunate not to win it. But when you have explosive weapon power like that on Tenderlove and Polis, it can be hard to ignore the truly incredible power that Polis's flipper contains.
Trying to follow up that attack with another here. Polis going on the charge before attempting a flip, and Tenderlove flings upwards on that occasion. Tries to reposition its weaponry, but it only allows Polis in for another attack from the rear this time.
Yes, every time these robots have fought, it has gone to a judge's decision. I think if you're Tenderlove, you really want to avoid that situation altogether. Tenderlove persistently a victim of judges' decisions, but also never really updating the strategy to accommodate more knockouts. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but I would be interested to see if they can think of anything on the fly here.
It's been a good fight so far. Half of it has gone. Polis has had just about the more attacks, but Tenderlove has not exactly been bullied like it had in the previous matchup that these two had. So, potential here for the 15th seed, still to do something, and with the pit going down, that's even more of an opportunity for it. Let's see if that will be the way that it can make a knockout happen.
Yeah, they managed to get those forks underneath. Tenderlove is moving quicker than ever than it has in seasons past, but Polis itself is even faster than it used to be. Truly just upping the stakes. We see that pit in view and everyone will be paying close attention to that. Polis certainly has no interest in winning in that fashion. If they're going to get a knockout, it's going to be by Tenderlove going out of the arena. But instead it's the Grinders who nearly have a familiar meeting with Tenderlove.
Polis's flip there, the first it completed for a bit of an extended period as Tenderlove was working its way back into this fight. It's not really got off many lifts of its own, but it has suffocated Polis for a period, slowed the pace of the fight down. But that's a good flip from Polis. Now, a little bit of the fight to go, and Tenderlove is trying to end this one strongly, and this could be an opportunity. Oh, but Polis again with gymnastics near the pit. Will it ever go down that pit? Ever?
Truly, I think Polis must be immune to this arena hazard. You absolutely cannot get them down there. It will just throw itself over and then throw itself past the obstacle entirely. Tenderlove, it is sticking its weapon in where the ram goes, though. That could do some late weapon damage. Polis proving the flipper does still work, but those little scrapes could help it as we go into yet another judge's decision between these two. Certainly, it was not quite as decisive of a Polis performance as they have had on the previous meeting with Tenderlove. Would we say it's as close as their first encounter? That's up to the judges to decide. It comes down to familiar judging once again. Do you rate the suffocating driving style of Tenderlove and that very near KO, or does the weaponry of Polis just overpower it?
The results from the judges are in. We have a unanimous decision. And the winner is Polis!
And winning by judge's decision, Polis takes the victory. Let's hope fourth time's the charm for Tenderlove.
Incredibly impressive as ever. However, that does mean that we're going to be saying goodbye to Tenderlove for this season. They did brilliantly in my opinion though, and I hope to see them again next season. Now Beaver, this next fight is a doozy. Gumdrops versus Panther. Both robots went 3-1 in the regular season, achieving the number 7 and the number 10 seeds. This is going to be very interesting in my opinion, and honestly, I'm not sure for certain who is going to come out on this one. Now Gumdrops, the number 7 seed, while it did lose a fight to Mars, its 3 wins were by knockout. Gumdrops has been doing exceptionally well this season, and I think it's made such an impact.
Sure, it's the underdog seeding wise, but Panther does have experience in fighting spinners. We saw it fight Sparks just a few episodes ago, and sure it lost, but it put up an amazing fight. And as great as Gumdrops has shown itself to be, it and Sparks are very different robots. I think Panther has everything it needs, weapons, the right setup, armor and experience to take this victory.
Well, Gumdrops has been on a masterful debut campaign, while Panther is doing better than they've ever done before. One of these robots will move on to the top 8, but which will it be?
Well, a spinner comes to town in the form of Gumdrops, and Panther is back to its dual blade setup itself. This has all the potential for chaos and explosiveness. Both of these machines have the power. Both of these machines also have a ton of unpredictability. What is gonna happen here?
That's certainly true. The only thing that's been predictable so far is Gumdrops starting the fight the way it always does, i.e. on the back foot. This is definitely a robot that likes to win its matches in the second half after the damage has added up. Indeed, taking more hits from Panther. And that just comes down to the decorative frog, I think. There's nothing too important in there. And indeed, in the chaos, they've snuck in a cheeky attack on the wheels of Panther. The track is still carrying it across, even without half of it still in there. But Panther will no doubt be hurt by that attack.
Incredible period of action there. Both machines reeling and hurting and feeling the pain of each other's impressive and powerful weaponry. And it's Panther that gets shot into the arena hazards there, while Gumdrops has to improvise with its spinner upside down now.
Yes, now we're seeing the true impact of losing that froggy section. The self-righting mechanism is out there on the floor, but they've used the flipper and the grinder to get back over and even pin Panther against it. Now, can they power up that spinner? Yes, they can, and use it, in fact, to attack a Panther which still hasn't gotten back over yet.
This has always been Panther's problem. It's such a good machine in the fundamentals, but when it's upside down, it always leaves itself exposed and always seems to get punished! Oh no, it should have stayed on its back! If that's what it's gonna do, it's just drove straight down and out, and Gumdrops wins in the most Gumdrops way possible.
Well, here we go. Let's just review the performance of Gumdrops doing what it does best and having a fairly poor opening period before we later see the spinner weigh itself in. I think at least on this occasion they were winning the match prior to that sudden pitting. Panther had a very silent period once they'd lost part of that track, even though there was major damage on the top. But then, well, it was Gumdrops who lost its eyes, but Panther was the one who couldn't see.
And winning by sending them into the pit, Gumdrops is moving on. That is an absolutely incredible win for them right there, showing the ability that got them this far. Unfortunately for Panther, their run comes to an end.
Moving swiftly on, we have a hell of a seeding difference in this one. 3rd seed Wishbone versus 14th seed Cosmo. Now, Dom, Cosmo just about scrapes into the bracket here, being flung into the lights by fellow bracketeer Huge and finishing 2-2. Business Cat himself has admitted that he is a massive repair job ahead of him, but I don't think that's any reason to count this spinner out. Let's not forget, it's a reigning runner-up. Cat clearly knows what he's doing here. I'm backing the upset here.
Honestly, Business Cat isn't certain that they can get the robot under Wishbone, and to me, a lot of the time, unless you're a robot like Huge, ground clearance is so important. Now, Wishbone getting the number 3 seed, the 3rd robot to get a 4-0 record in the regular season after a huge win against Amethyst. Now, this is great news for Wither, who has never made it past the round of 16. This might be his chance to really make history for himself here.
Well, Wishbone is our 3rd seed here. They're undefeated with 4 straight wins, but Cosmo is the reigning runner-up. Generally, I don't like to be rewarded for undefeated runs with a robot like that.
Well, here we go. And Cosmo is part of this little club of machines this season that are elite on paper but haven't had the easiest time in the war zone. And this is not going to be an easy matchup for it either, as the impressive and encouraging and persistent Wishbone is already starting this one strong.
Yes, we've already lost huge in the opening battle of the top 16, so Business Cat will be hoping that Cosmo can do the business to keep the team going. That's a good central hit. We're seeing that Wishbone definitely has the lower wedge, but when Cosmo can hit that weapon, generally there is more surface on the Cosmo disc than there is on the Wishbone egg beater to make contact with, but the contact's been made by the beater to throw Cosmo right out of there. Get out of here, son. It's time for a new robot to take the reins. That is Wishbone.
Cosmo's run out.
Here we go again. Well, we've seen the underside of Wishbone quite a lot in this season, but they just never give in. And when they were making use of that superior wedging power, they were just making all the key differences. Cosmo struggled in this one, and then they bounced all the way out.
And winning by an absolutely impeccable out of the arena, Wishbone moves on to the next round. Unfortunate for Cosmo, but I'm almost certain that they will come back stronger than ever. Before the final fight of the night, we're going to take you through the second half of the history of Gary's Wars. As you all remember from the last part, we took you up as far as 2017 when the biggest change in the server's history took place as E2 Drive was introduced. It continued to grow in 2018, and at the start of the year, the first ever custom props were added to the server, allowing robots to be more customized than ever as props could be imported from 3D software directly into the game.
Film tournaments returned for the first time since 2015 when in February Battleground took place. The first tournament to actually hit YouTube was Internal Bots hosted by Kroger, laying the groundwork for BashBots when in July of 2018 the original plans for the tournament were made. December saw the return of the official Gary's Wars tournament when RoboBoulder hosted Series 3, along with a new set of rules made to make the robots far more entertaining for film tournaments. This included a minimum prop count limit, so that more parts could come off the robots to make it more fun for onlookers.
March of 2019 kicked off what is known as the BashBots era, when the first season was filmed. It was released in August of that year and began a period of huge growth for the group as more and more people joined after seeing it on YouTube. The tournament went from barely scraping 24 robots in that first season to the present day when 65 robots entered, hoping to take home the giant wrench. We're not far away from a new chapter being written in the history books, so let's get back to the action because there's only one spot left for grabs in the quarterfinals.
And to finish off the round of 16, we bring you a rematch. A rematch dating back to the very beginning of BashBots. Sparks began its journey to the championship by tearing apart Catch so much it was almost unrecognizable, and now years later the team stand ready to fight again. And shock and horror, I'm backing the upset victory. Eddie's won all of her fights by announcing the arena flip this year, having a stunning season where she's won more fights this time around than all 3 seasons prior, so if anyone's to shout for the most improved awards, we know who to give it to. Still, point is, winning all of your fights for you tells me that you are a driver that lives and breathes control, and knowing that Sparks' weapon can be overcome, as we saw in the Polis fight just a few episodes ago, I think that Catch can win this fight on an incredibly close judge's decision.
Honestly, Beaver, I understand why you'd feel that way, but I've got to go with Sparks, the number 6 seed with a 3-1 record to their name. They finally lost to Polis last time after their weapon motor completely gave out, but Jag and Tag has put a brand new motor in the robot and a new heavier blade, meaning Sparks is going to be able to dish out some major damage. I have a feeling that we're going to be getting some deja vu in this fight. I am so ready for this one, so let's watch Sparks versus Catch.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? It's robot fighting time! Let's bring out the bots! In the red square, from Northern Ireland! With the postage stamps gap between his blade and the floor, it's Sparks! In the blue square, from the United Kingdom, doesn't meow to you so much as hurling you 14 feet in the air screaming, it's Catch!
So the last match against Polis pretty much completely destroyed the weapon system. So we're switching to the spare single tit setup for this fight. Unlike the previous blade, this one can spin both ways, which should hopefully help to catch them off guard. That said, Catch looks a lot more durable this season, and Ellie's shown some very good driving skills in other competitions this year, so this one will be tough.
Strategy of this fight is going to be try and hit the spinner on Sparks with the wedge as much as possible. The wedge isn't the strongest config I have, so it's basically just going to be driving as long as possible and trying to get out faster than it can kill me, which is going to be tough, but if I stay on top of it, hopefully it all turns out well.
Well, you almost wouldn't believe it. Both of these drivers have taken part in every season of BashBots so far, but certainly it's only Sparks that we've really seen. But now Catch may be primed for an upset.
Well, away we go. Now, the first time these machines fought all the way back in Season 1, it wasn't even a close contest. But here in the modern day, with Sparks struggling for KOs, with Catch looking more resilient than ever, is this set up for a moment of truth for Catch?
Well, certainly as they throw Spark into the pit release, you can't quite pin something against such a soft surface. They'll be wanting to readjust, but this is a great opening period from Catch, proving they can get under the backside of Sparks as well to throw it into the grinder.
Yeah, Catch has lost an angle of its front wedge there, but in terms of consistent attacks, it is still carrying them out as the other side of that wedge goes off. Interesting little clips from Sparks early on here.
I suppose they don't really need it. It's not too meaningful of damage in the long run, but also Catch will struggle to build up damage in general. They don't want to go to a judge's decision with Sparks if they can help it at all. They're meeting a different kind of Sparks as they go over the kill source, but then, well, it works out better with the main machine.
Sparks in terms of everything in the arena there for about 20. And that's a really powerful thrust there from Catch, showing that it's not going to be bullied like it was in Season 1, showing that it has improved, that it is here to stay, and it is here to upset Sparks for good, as it lands on top of Sparks, and it lands onto the bar.
Oh, now we're in that corner. That's not where you want to be. If you're that horizontal spinner, Catch is quite happy to see if it can seize the opportunity, but it doesn't manage to do so. Sparks still not coming away unharmed though, but they have made contact on the wheels of Catch there. Will that have an effect, I wonder?
This is a nitty-gritty, tense affair so far. Catch is showing that it's no pushover. Has taken damage. It has carried out attacks of its own, but the damage are always key. And we've seen so far this season that the judges may well be swung by one or two certain moments. A minute to go, and Catch goes tumbling over the saws there.
Here we go with a... Oh, firing too early. They definitely weren't well underneath Sparks, so that could have been a great slam into the grinders. Forfeited at the builder's own decision, but now we've made it over there anyway. You don't want to fire the flipper right into that spinner. Instead, keeping Sparks balanced on its back through the gyroscopic forces, but still taking another knock in the process.
Under 30 to play. This has been a really determined fight from them both, and collisions and impacts, and then little Sparks attacks and jabs as well that have totaled up as the fight's gone on. It is going to be really, really, really tight unless we see a moment of addition. That's a moment of clever and cuteness there by Catch. Couple of good totaled attacks.
Yeah, almost breaking our arena wall with that slam, but it is going to go the distance between the flipper and the spinner, and that is a very, very difficult fight to call.
Jesus Christ, that was a good fight.
Sparks, all they really did was take away the sides of Catch's wedges. Maybe making a few loose contacts on that flipper, but it was still working for the duration of the fight. Sparks, relatively unaffected, but they were likely beaten on the control game. The aggression of Catch's, not just weapon usage, but the slams as well. Could that be enough?
The results from the judges are in. We have a unanimous decision. And the winner is... Catch!
And winning by judges' decision, Catch moves on to the next round. With that, we have our final 8, and oh man, I cannot wait to see what happens next.
We've seen some big upsets tonight as Sparks and Cosmo have both exited the tournament. The top 5 seeds are still in for what promises to be a spectacular quarter-final round, but that's not all. Next episode will be a special double-length episode. We are going to go all the way from the quarterfinals to the championship final to crown the Season 4 BashBots champion. From all of us here at BashBots, we thank you for watching and we hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you next time for the conclusion of the tournament. But until then, good night.